I, 57 male, retired to the south 5 years ago. My kids are adult and we aren't really close. Mostly my fault. I worked away from home, so they were primarily raised by their moms. I bought an acreage, called a finca, and I rent it out for events. I have an outdoor dance floor, a pool, and a 20-person guest house. I also built up some areas for pictures. I live in my own house on the property. So now the conflict. I refuse to let any of my family stay with me anymore. I did for the first year and they all abused my goodwill. They wouldn't clean up after themselves. They would pick fruit off my trees and then waste them. They wouldn't listen when I told them not to go in the pool on Mondays because that was cleaning day, and a whole bunch of other things. My daughter wants to have her wedding here. My house looks like Casita from the Disney movie Encanto. She is obsessed with it. So she wants to have a destination wedding on my property, which I would be fine with, I think. But then she tells me that her guests will stay there for a week before the wedding, and that since they're paying for the flights, they shouldn't have to pay for a place to stay as well. Yeah, I'm not super happy about that, so I say they can do it one of two ways. They can pay me to have extra staff on hand to clean up after them and cook for them, or they can have the ceremony, pictures and reception here and then stay at a hotel. I even volunteered to pick up the bill for the hotel. It would cost me more than what I earn from renting out my place, but it would be worth it not to deal with the headache of entitled people. I let her bring her friends down here when she graduated from university, and they left the place in shambles. I found an entire bunch of bananas in the pool. Not a bunch like in the grocery store, like 60 bananas. They ripped them off a plant and threw it in the pool. These were all human adults. Her mom is calling me an idiot for holding it against her. My son, her half-brother, is posting about how I'm just a miserable guy sitting down here and not wanting to see my family. Not true. When he came down with his girlfriend, I put them up at a nice hotel about 20 minutes away. Why? Because I had to pay for my pool guy to fix my filter pump because his girlfriend's panties were stuck in it the last time he came down. I know I sound like a grumpy old man, but I don't think that makes me an idiot. I was so ready to call you an idiot. Then I got halfway through and thought, maybe... But you're offering to host the wedding and pay for hotels? Because they trashed the place last time, they're all acting super entitled to get mad about this, and just incredibly spoiled and rude that they've acted this way at your place. You are not the idiot. That was my exact journey through the story. OP is entirely reasonable and is, in fact, practically bending over backward to find a way to make his daughter happy while also not being screwed over by the repeated bad behavior of the people who will be guests. I wouldn't want to see my family if they were like these idiots. And a week before the wedding? I'm sorry. No. Tell them the casita is closed to them until they learn basic respect and basic manners. If you have photos of the terrible state they left the place in when they left, share them on social media. I don't want repeat business from people that trash the place. Doesn't matter if they're family or not. I suspect the flying monkeys they've sent will start singing a different tune. The panties and 60 bananas. My goodness, these are adults. You're not holding crap they did as kids over their heads. The fact your son's girlfriend's underwear resulted in repairs out of your pocket would infuriate me. The level of entitlement by those folks is mind-boggling. Yep, they need to accept one or the other of your offers or take themselves elsewhere to destroy someone else's property. You are more than generous. I, teen male, am the middle child, with my older sister being 23 and my younger sister being a young teen now. 5 years ago there was a car accident and my older sister, I'll call her Natalie, got banged up very badly. Most of it she got better from, but she's mute now from damage to her vocal cords. Natalie gets by very well with sign language, however our parents have consistently refused to learn ASL. They always insisted that Natalie could write anything out, that text-to-speech was good enough if she didn't want to carry around a pen and paper. Most of her teachers were like that too, but I get it for them, she's just one student and they're busy. These are our parents. Natalie and I FaceTime a lot because I did learn to sign for her, and it's how she prefers to communicate. She texts my parents, okay, but my parents want to use text to replace the long phone calls they had with their parents when they went away to college, and Natalie doesn't want to just sit around and text with our parents for hours at a time. So they expect her to be sitting on the couch with the phone and replying as fast as possible in real time, and she's not interested. I overheard my parents complaining about this and insulting Natalie for it, and I blew up at them. I pointed out everyone who'd learned to sign for Natalie, me, multiple cousins, our grandparents, multiple aunts and uncles, the 2 boyfriends she had after the accident, one of whom cheated on her so he wasn't exactly Prince Charming, but he still learned, her current girlfriend, and her creative writing teacher in high school. So many people learned to sign for her, but never them. My parents got angry at me and told me I couldn't understand, then grounded me. Then both of their sisters, who never agreed on anything, called to tear into me. They told me that my parents both worked full-time, had 3 kids to raise, both had church responsibilities, and that Natalie and I were brats for expecting them to learn a new language on top of that. They sarcastically asked me what clubs and sports me and my little sister should have lost so my parents could spend time learning a new language when Natalie's hands worked fine. My aunts never agree on anything. We can't have activities with both sides of the family because they're so bad, but they both agree that Natalie and I are awful. So I guess I just wanted to come here and see if you all concur that we're unreasonable and that I should apologize to my parents. Not the idiot. Parents should have been the first ones to learn ASL. If church responsibilities are more important than parental responsibilities, they should get a reality check on what the church teaches them. Also, it's not Natalie who wants those long phone calls, so they have to find a solution, not Natalie. Yeah, no church I've been to would ever prioritize commitments made over the health and well-being of their child. Holy cow! The length of the conversations they want is what stood out to me. If they're so busy they can't spend some time learning ASL for their daughter, how do they have time for those long phone conversations? If they have time for those, it's by text so they can send their messages and try to learn in between. My aunts never agree on anything. We can't have activities with both sides of the family because they're so bad. Typically, if 2 idiots share an opinion, that's a good indication that it's an idiot opinion. There's a reason why your parents had to rely on these 2 instead of the rest of your extended family, who've put in the effort and would likely side with you. They say a hit dog will holler, and your words struck a nerve with your parents, because you're right. Yep, conditional love is just the best they can offer. OP, you are a good egg. Please preserve this for yourself despite the social pressure of your family. You and Natalie should have a plan though and play this smart. As long as you're financially dependent on your parents, they have considerable power over you. So this Halloween, my 28 female husband, who is a dentist, 31, wanted to try something new. Instead of filling the bowl with candy, he filled it with toothbrushes and toothpaste. I told him this idea would turn out terribly because I know myself that as a child and a middle school teacher, all that I wanted for Halloween was candy and not good tooth care. But he convinced himself that it would be great because what kids wouldn't like to get on Halloween night? Toothache. Well, he did it, and he was surprised to find that only 1 boy or 2 thanked us. The others were pretty annoyed with this, and some demanded candy so much that I had to bring them a candy bowl, or else they wouldn't have stopped crying. They only got more frustrated and annoyed when my husband told them they had to get at least 1 toothbrush and toothpaste when they got candy, so it was a disaster. Then, when it was all over and the kids stopped coming to our house and we went to bed, we heard something only to go out and find that some brats threw toilet rolls and eggs over the house and ran away. We spent a long while cleaning it up, and I told him that he should have just given them candy as I told him to, and he's been mildly upset by all this, saying that I'm acting like a jerk. But to be honest, he was the one acting like a jerk. I'm a middle school teacher, and he should have just listened to me as he has no extended experience with kids like I have. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. There was nothing wrong with giving toothbrushes and toothpaste if they were accompanied by treats that the kids were expecting. After all, it's trick or treat, not trick or toothbrushes and toothpaste. It's right there in what is said by costumed beggars. If your husband doesn't want to hand out candy, there are other options that aren't oral hygiene. For example, bubbles, fidgets, fun pencils, stickers, glow sticks, etc. If he can't bring himself to an alternative, just keep your lights off next year and opt out altogether. This legit made me laugh. What was he thinking? It's called trick or treat for a reason. Unfortunately, he didn't treat, so he got tricked. Girl, you're the one that knows what's up. LMAOOO. Middle schoolers these days are savages, and people should give them what they want on Halloween. However, have you entertained the possibility that it was some of your students? Trick or treating is for little kids. Teenagers are the ones who toilet paper houses. This is my take too. I think her students did it, not the trick or treaters. I mean, seriously. The kids trick-or-treating get so much candy a toothbrush doesn't even register. You grab it and move on to the next house. You don't become an evil villain plotting revenge. Besides egging and teepeeing, a house is usually a calculated move you plan in advance. I, 21 female, have struggled with my weight my entire life. I'm not talking about baby weight, I mean that I was 200 pounds at 5'1" when I was 16. For as long as I can remember, I felt uncomfortable in my own body. When I went to college, I decided it was time to change. It took years of grueling work, education, but I'm finally at a healthy weight. I'm terrified of going back. The only problem is that my mom, 55, has tons of family photos around the house. Every time I go home, I'm reminded of my life's most emotionally difficult time. I begged my mom to at least take down the photos that only had me in them, but she refused. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I gradually put stickers over my face in family pictures every time I visited. She didn't notice, so I took it up a notch. I scanned the original pictures with my phone. I paid one of my friends to Photoshop them afterward. They were pretty obvious, but I was hoping nobody would notice at a glance. After the swap, I took the originals to my apartment. I got away with this 2 times, but I got caught in the act with the 3rd. My mother and I got into a huge argument about it. She said I had no right to take those photos or vandalize the others because it wasn't my house. I pointed out that I only took my photos and only put removable stickers on the others. She was still furious. I'm banned from the house until I give the originals back. The rest of my family has been pressuring me to give in because Thanksgiving is coming up. However, I refuse to do so because I don't think I'm in the wrong here. Am I the idiot? Edit. I suspect my mom wouldn't remove those photos for a deeper reason. She is obese and I think she might resent my weight loss. I'm not ashamed of my past self and I don't hate my past self. However, I don't like those pictures because they remind me of my constant physical pain at that weight. When I see them, it feels like reliving it all over again. She is obese and has made weird comments about my weight loss. Ever since I lost weight, she calls me vain a lot. One time we were sitting for dinner with my aunt. My aunt and I were discussing my weight loss and my mom suddenly said, "Okay, I think enough time was spent stroking your ego." Another time she insisted on giving me a coat that was 3 times too big. When I said no, she asked if I thought I was too good for it. You are the idiot. This really is not a healthy level of fixation on your past weight. You're literally committing thefts to try to remove these memories. Please see a therapist to work through your feelings about this healthily. This long, complex and extended campaign to erase your past self instead of coming to peace with it is not healthy. Your mom is allowed to have pictures of you when you're younger. I don't believe you're at a healthy weight. You're too obsessed. Your post mentions grueling work and education to achieve this healthy weight. People at healthy don't do crap like this. Stop projecting your eating disorder on your mother. This might be the biggest stretch I've ever seen, and that's saying something. There's nothing in OP's post to suggest they're not a healthy weight, so where did you get that from? Losing weight is grueling. That's not an outrageous thing to say, and that whole section of text is in the past tense. I'm really shocked by the judgment here. I was surprised by the comments as well. Wow, her mother should be more understanding of her emotional health. And there is such a thing as consent to share photos, at least in my family. You are not the idiot. They are pictures of you and make you uncomfortable. She should understand that out of simple respect. My mother got furious with me every time I tried to lose weight, then mocked me for being chubby. You did an incredible life-changing thing. You are in a much better place than you were, and your mother tries everything to bring you down. That is awful. Sadly, those photos are hers. It would be best if you gave them back, but you can make it clear you won't visit until all of them are taken down and stick to it. Then, after the 2nd or 3rd big party, you don't show up because of the photos. The people around your mother will force her to take down those photos. Update. I'm going to take some of the advice given here. I'm going to go ahead and burn the pictures I have and give my mom an ultimatum between me and my solo pictures. If she chooses the pictures over me, that says more about her than me. I dropped my son off at preschool yesterday morning and one of the other mothers walked by with her daughter. She's pregnant. My son asked me why she was so big. I said she was going to have a baby, and the baby is inside her for now, but we shouldn't say people are big because it can hurt their feelings. My son asked why the baby was inside and how it ate. I said babies grow in mummies until they are big enough to be outside, and that mummies eat food, and her body turns it into baby food that the baby gets through a tube. Then I poked his belly button and said that was where his tube used to be. My son thought this was hilarious. We then put his stuff in his cubby and I left. After school that day, I got a message from another mom saying I was gross for talking like that in the classroom. She said my son heard me and was asking her inappropriate questions. She said I shouldn't be talking about pregnancy with young children, especially boys, and I had no right to expose her son to such topics. I try to respect everyone's parenting choices, but is it reasonable to police what I say to my child because your child might overhear? I don't think the subject was inappropriate for the public. Not the idiot, and it's extremely gross she thinks, especially boys, shouldn't know the basics of biology. Boys have an equal part in the process. You answer questions in an age-appropriate manner when asked. If she wants to pretend the storks bring babies, that's her problem. But you did nothing wrong. LOL, definitely not the idiot. You handled that perfectly. That other mom has some issues. She'll probably be homeschooling soon to avoid exposing her child to basic facts of life. And oh, the horrors. Science. She's nuts. If they're old enough to ask, they're old enough to know. If she wants her kid to believe some overgrown mythological giant stork brought her kid, then that's fine. But the kids are in for a shock. There's nothing wrong with not babying your kid. If you went into overly gross, inappropriate detail, that would be one thing. But it was a great way to describe it.